thelandofisrael.com and Israel National TV present Ari and Jeremy Gimpel. Live from the heart of Israel, it's Tuesday Night Live in Jerusalem.
Thank you all for joining us tonight. We have a special treat. It's a tribute to Hevron. And we thought about all the people that we know, and we wanted to share different examples, different people.
Now, we all know about Beit Shalom, right? That's what got Hevron in the news lately. It's called the House of Peace. But in reality, the whole media, all of Israel, calls it Beit HaMerivah, the House of Conflict, because the media unilaterally decided to rename it because I guess the House of Peace sounded too peaceful. And these Jews of Hevron, they understood the forces that they were facing, so they crossed every T, they dotted every I, they made sure every contract, everything was totally legal. They even videotaped and audio taped the whole thing, so it was absolutely, they have this house, they bought it. And nonetheless, they were evicted, thrown out of the home, and we have a very brave, incredible family with 5 children, originally from New York, now living in Hevron. We actually have 3 of their children now. It's a little bit late, but we're so blessed to have on Michael and Orly Pollack. Okay, so Michael, a lot of people would say, you're out of your mind, you're crazy, you're living in a ghetto, you're putting your children at risk. How do you answer those people? What could you say?
What I'll tell you in the audience is, as a Jew, we constantly have to think less about ourselves and our personal safety, more about what Hashem wants from us and from us as a Jewish family. It's definitely safer living in, Nagid, Florida or Brooklyn.
Now.
But now, maybe, I don't know. But I'm assuming that it's safer there. I don't know what goes on. I haven't been to America in about 5 years. But I think what Hashem wants from us and where we can give the most to the Jewish people is in Hevron. And that's what we're constantly saying, where we can give the most for the Jewish people and for Eretz Israel.
Thank you. Thank you so much for
Orly,
joining us.
Orly, let me ask you, you were actually in Beit Shalom. You were living there when it was evicted. Could you tell us a little bit about that experience?
Well, first of all, we lived in Beit Shalom for a year and 8 months. And it was definitely an amazing experience. There were people there that just gave each other koach and gave each other strength just by being there. And every time the kids would play outside, and if there was an Arab that would stir up with them, they all stuck out for each other, and they would defend each other, and they were there for each other from all ages. They played together. They were like kids that were 2 years old till age 15, and they all played together all the time. They were like one big family. And the last 2 months of being in Beit Shalom, it was definitely full of a lot of tension, but full of a lot of spirit. And there was a lot of Noah that came there, and the youth that was there just gave so much spirit to the place, and they were there to defend the place and to make sure that it would stay in the hands of Jews, and it still will be in the hands of Jews, even though we're in the middle of a brief break, because they kicked us out, but we will go back. And when we were there, the last few days before the Pinoi, the Noah was there. I mean, you wouldn't know what was day and what was night. There was music all the time and Torah all the time, and they were full of life, and they were there, and they gave us strength to just go till the very end. And the day when we heard that there was going to be Pinoi, there was going to be the evacuation, we had no time. It was like within minutes that the Yassam and the police stormed the building. And they came inside, and there was tons of noise. And in fact, I tried to call a friend to maybe take the little ones out. And within seconds, they closed off all the roads. They didn't let anyone come in. And they really took us by surprise, because at that moment, there were many talks going on with Barak and with Moetzet Yesha. And so many people assumed that it wasn't going to be that day specifically. And so a lot of the Noah had gone to school or gone to do whatever they had to do. And they came in, the Assam, the police stormed in, they broke our whole wall. We had a wall made out of plaster, and they broke down the entire wall. You know, go through a door, that would be normal, so why should we do something like that? They just broke down the whole wall, The kids were, thank God I had people that came into our room and were in our room with us. So each kid was in someone else's hands. They pushed us out. They didn't care. Babies, 2-year-olds, 4-year-olds, they couldn't care. Everyone's the same thing. Pushed us outside, threw tear gas everywhere. And outside they were beating up many of the youth with sticks and kicking them and pulling them and just treating them as they were animals. It was just that the police, they're not, it's weird how they just desensitize themselves from everything, and they just hit and they kick and they throw tear gas at like 2-year-olds and they don't care. And we actually were waiting outside after they kicked us out because they said, you can't go here, pushed us everywhere. So we just sat down, and one of the policemen walked by, says, go home already. So my 6-year-old, who's not here, said, but this is our house. And the guy just walked on, couldn't care less. And the kids now know what tear gas is, unfortunately, but they got through it. And we're going to go back, Bezrat Hashem.
Well, the Pollack family, just so you know, all the Jews of Jerusalem stand with you tonight.
When I was in my first initial compulsory service in the Golani Brigades, I remember serving in Hevron. I was very honored to do so. And I was up in a guard tower for about 8 hours, and a man came up, and he introduced himself, and I spoke with him. He invited me to his home for Shabbat. It turned out that that was the official spokesman of Hevron, David Wilder. This man, David Wilder, this man is able to maintain, while being vilified and attacked from all angles, an optimism, a hope. He's so articulate. It's really an honor to have him on the show. David Wilder. David, let me ask you the first question that I think is on everybody's mind. How did that happen? With all of the, the T's crossed and the I's dotted, it was so legal. How were you able, why were they evicting you?
Look, this went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, the president of the Supreme Court decides what panel of judges is going to hear the case. So the president of the Supreme Court, Dorit Benish, had 2 other judges with her. And I guess she didn't like the way it was going, because in the middle of the case, she changed the panel. She changed the judges.
She can do that.
She could do that. I don't know if she can, but she did it. And the Supreme Court decided the government could throw us out. Why did they throw us out? Because people don't want Jews living in Hevron. They're afraid of us. They understand our ideology. They understand where we're coming from, and they understand where we're going to. That we want to live everywhere in Eretz Yisrael, starting in Hevron, everywhere. Beit Lechem, Ramallah, you name it. We want to be there. And they know that if we're successful in Hevron, we might be successful there.
For thousands of years, there's been an uninterrupted Jewish presence, other than a short, brief period during this century, which is very tragic. An uninterrupted Jewish presence. How does it feel to be holding that flame alive, one of the few Jews that's able to be that continuation?
It's a tremendous privilege, and it's a tremendous obligation, because you have to try to walk in the footsteps of your forefathers. It's not easy to walk where Avram Avinu was, Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, to where Kalev stood by Ma'arat Machpelah and prayed to God that he should have the privilege to be able to not fall into the trap and say, I don't want to live here in Eretz Yisrael. And to walk in the footsteps of King David and all of the hundreds and thousands of Jews who lived there through all the centuries. And to know that we're not just there for them and for us, but we're there for our children and our children's children. I have 2 married daughters that live in Hevron with their families, and I want their children's children to live in Hevron. And their ability to do that, of course, it all comes from God. But we're the ones that God gave the keys to, and we have to make sure that we stay there so that they can be there, because we're representing them also.
Well, is it difficult for you? How do you deal with the constant injustices, sacrificing yourselves for all the Jewish people, yet they criminalize and vilify you? How do you deal with that?
It's not easy. I work with the media. Whenever I start a tour, I tell people they can ask me whatever they want, because I work with the media and there's nothing I haven't heard. And that's the way it is. But look, we know what the truth is. And we know that we have to continue that truth. We have to bring that to the world. That's what my job is. When people say, what do you do? So sometimes I answer cynically, but my job is to be an educator. My job is to try to teach, first and foremost, the Jewish people, but people all over the world, what it really is to be a Jew in Hevron and to be a Jew living in Eretz Yisrael. And sometimes, you know, the clouds move and the light breaks through. That's what we're trying to do. And we know that there are people working against us. But you know something? People worked against us for 2,000 years when we were living in exile. Today, we're living in Eretz Yisrael. We're living here. I can be talking to you in Jerusalem, not in New York and not in California, but in Jerusalem. I can be talking to you in Hevron. And that's something that Jews never had. They didn't have that. They couldn't even dream about it. And the fact that we're able to do that, eventually, I have no doubt that we'll break through. People will understand the truth, and they'll thank us for saying and doing what we've been doing.
Do you have one final message for the Jews here in Yerushalayim and Jerusalem and Jews and non-Jews all over the world?
Well, first of all, I say to all of those Jews that are watching us, I don't know, wherever you are, come here. Be here in Eretz Yisrael. But more importantly, you know, people say, like you say, how do you deal with it? It's very important to know it depends how you look at things. The fact that we have the problems, they threw us out of Beit Shalom, they expelled us from there. And they've done other things, and they're going to do more. We don't live under any illusions. We know what's going on. But the fact that I can be living in Hebron today, and I can go daven in Marat HaMachpelah, I can pray there. Jews could not go into Marat HaMachpelah, the tomb of the patriarchs, for 700 years. It was off limits to Jews and to Christians alike. And the fact that we're able to be there today is a reason to celebrate. And that's what we're there, and that's where we're going to stay there. And I ask people, if you can't come live here today, then come here and visit and see with your own two eyes, because you see it, you feel it, it becomes a part of your essence. And that's where we're going to continue. That's what Am Yisrael is all about. And Bezrat Hashem, we'll live to see our success. We'll live to see all of Hebron Jewish, all of Eretz Yisrael Jewish, and we won't see any bombs coming in from Gaza, because you know what? They're not going to be there either.
Who's up for a trip to Hebron? Thank you.
So tonight, the entire world is realizing the greatest revolution of mankind, the ingathering of the exiles. Our presence here in Jerusalem, our presence in Hevron, is witness to the fact that we're a part of a movement much greater than anyone can imagine. We're now reconnecting to the dynasty of David. David started in Hebron and then moved to Jerusalem. If David's dynasty started in Hebron, there's no question that now we're reconnecting to that dynasty. So tonight, the Jews of Jerusalem stand united with the Jews of Hevron. Shalom.
זה סיפור על ילד, ילד שאותי דבר גדול לימד. היו מספר אנשים חכמים שניסו להסביר לי את זה, אבל רק איתו זה חדר לי אל תוך חדרי הלב. כל העולם זה מגרש המשחקים הענק שלי, מעולם אבל מעולם לא היה כל כך טוב כמו עכשיו. כל העולם זה מגרש המשחקים המופלא והאינסופי שלי, מעולם אבל מעולם לא היה כל כך טוב כמו עכשיו, כל כך טוב כמו עכשיו, כל כך טוב כמו עכשיו, כל כך טוב כמו עכשיו. כי מעולם, כן מעולם עדיין לא היה עכשיו, מעולם עדיין בעולם לא היה כזה מצב, עוד אף פעם לא נפגשנו עם קבוצה של נשמות כאלה במין זמן שכזה, אף פעם לא היה התאריך הזה בעולם, שמתם לב? בעולם עדיין לא ישבנו ככה במין מבט כזה לפניך, מעולם עדיין לא היה קטע כזה בהצגה, מעולם עדיין לא עברנו פרק כזה בסדרה, כן, מעולם עדיין לא ראיתי כזאת תמונה, מעולם עדיין לא הרגשתי ככה, כי מעולם, כן מעולם עדיין לא היה עכשיו, מעולם, כן מעולם עדיין לא היה כזה מצב, מעולם עדיין בעולם לא היה קטע כזה במחזה, מעולם עדיין, מעולם לא היה עכשיו, לא. זה סיפור על ילד שאותי דבר נשגב אינסופי לימד. היו מספר נשים חכמים נורא שלמדו באוניברסיטה שניסו להסביר לי את זה, אבל רק איתו זה חדר לי לעומק הלב. כל העולם זה מגרש המשחקים הענק שלי, מעולם לא היה כל כך טוב כמו עכשיו. כן, כל העולם כולו זה מגרש המשחקים המופלא והאינסופי שלי, מעולם לא היה כל כך טוב כמו עכשיו, 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 כל כך טוב כמו עכשיו. יאללה ביי.